Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So after getting to learn the definition of fasting and what should be done in this great month of Ramadan in the previous episode, if you have not watched it, the link is on the description. On today's episode, we are going to learn the virtues of fasting and lastly, the benefits of fasting. It is said that the virtues of fasting are great indeed. And one of the things reported in authentic hadith is that Allah has chosen fasting for himself, and he will reward it and multiply the reward without measure. As he says in Hadith al-Quds, except for fasting, which is only for my sake, and I will reward him for it. Fasting has no equal, and the dua of the fasting person will not be refused. The fasting person has two moments of joy, one when he breaks his fast, and one when he meets his Lord and rejoices over his fasting. Fasting will intercede for a person on the day of judgment and will say, "O Allah, I prevented him from his food and physical desires during the day, so let me intercede for him." The smell that comes from the mouth of a fasting person is more beloved to Allah than the scent of musk. Fasting is a protection and a strong fortress that keeps a person safe from the fire. Whoever fasts one day for the sake of Allah, Allah will remove his face a distance of 70 years from the fire. Whoever fasts one day seeking the pleasure of Allah, if that is the last day of his life, he will enter paradise. In paradise, there is a gate called Ar-Rayyan, through which those who fast will enter, and no one will enter through it except them. When they have entered, it will be locked, and no one else will enter through it. Ramadan is a pillar of Islam. The Quran was revealed in this month, and in it, there is a night that is better than 1,000 months. When Ramadan begins, the gates of paradise are opened and the gates of hell are closed and the devils are put in chains. Fasting Ramadan is equivalent to fasting 10 months. Whoever fasts Ramadan out of faith and with the hope of Allah's reward, all his previous sins will be forgiven. With the breaking of every fast, Allah will choose people to free from hellfire. Lastly, the benefits of fasting. There is much wisdom and numerous benefits in fasting which relate to the taqwa Allah mentioned in the ayah, where he said, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, that you may become al-muttaqun. This is Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 183. The interpretation of this ayah is that if a person refrains from halal things hoping to gain the pleasure of Allah and out of fear of his punishment, it will be easier for him to refrain from doing haram things. When a person's stomach is empty and he is hungry, many of his other faculties are kept from feeling hunger or desires. But when his stomach is satisfied, his tongue, eyes, hands, and private parts start to feel hunger. Fasting leads to the defeat of shaitan. It controls desires and protects one's faculties. When the fasting person feels the pangs of hunger, he experiences how the poor feel, thus he feels compassion towards them and gives them something to ward off their hunger. Hearing about them is not the same as sharing their suffering, just as a rider does not understand the hardship of walking until he gets down and walks. Fasting trains the person to avoid desires and to keep away from sin. It helps a person to overcome his own nature and to wean himself away from bad habits. It also trains a person to get used to being organized and punctual, which will solve the problem that many people have of being disorganized, if only they realized. Fasting is also a demonstration of the unity of the Muslims, as the Ummah, Muslim nation, fasts and breaks its fast all at the same time. Fasting also provides a great opportunity for those who are calling others to Allah. In this month, many people come to the mosque for the first time, and also those who have not been to the masjid for a long time and their hearts are open. So we must make the most of this opportunity by preaching in a gentle manner, teaching appropriate lessons, and speaking beneficial words, while it's also cooperating in righteousness and good deeds. The teacher should not be so preoccupied with others that he forgets his own soul and becomes like a candle that lights the way for others while it is itself consumed. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.